Howdy, and welcome to a random street here in Austin, Texas. Jason with me today.
What's up? I'm Jason from Engineering Explained, here to drive the Cybertruck.
Yeah, he's come to town to come check the Cybertruck out for himself, but he has never actually seen
I've
or
never seen
experienced
it.
it. Ever.
Never even like one of the models like in a museum or
Never?
something like that. No, I've never
Oh my
seen
God.
it. Never seen it. So this is like one of those moments where you're about to get married.
Yep.
And they tap you on the shoulder and you look back and there's the Cybertruck.
Yep.
And,
Oh man.
It's maybe hopefully prettier in real life.
I think it is. I hope. I mean, it's better, hopefully better than online. But yeah, so it's right around the corner. We're going to get his first thoughts and impressions, just taking a look at it. We're going to go on a quick drive, and then he's actually going to go do his own content. So absolutely go check that stuff out if you want to get a more in-detail
Yeah, and thanks for
review.
giving me access to it. Really appreciate it.
100%.
Get
Not
you.
this. That's not
No,
it.
that's not it.
Is it that?
No, that's a little more normal looking. I don't do that.
Normal looking, huh?
Maybe it's that one, the Volkswagen.
Ooh.
Oh no, there it is.
Oh my. Wow. You know, it's still like, that is really your car.
That's my car.
And it still just doesn't look.
It looks funny in normal places, right? So if you park another person's car next to it, it's like,
What is that?
what the hell is that?
It's interesting seeing it next to a car and
Yep.
like it not looking massive.
Yeah. You know, that's the thing. It's a big car, but it doesn't feel as, once you drive it, you'll understand. It doesn't actually feel that terrible.
And you actually cleaned it.
A little bit, yeah. I didn't clean the windows.
It's
Cleaning it is a pain, man.
interesting seeing the curve because you don't really see this curve, I feel like, in pictures.
Nope.
Like the whole front. Wow, and you also don't notice how prominent like this curve is. They did a like good job of like visually, it's, you know, very straight lines everywhere. Yet like obviously from an aerodynamic standpoint, you probably want a little curve. And so it's done and you can see it in person, but man, those tires are giant.
They're crazy, and I don't even want to know how much they are. I really don't. But here's my favorite thing about the truck.
So if you look at it, no matter what perspective you're looking at, the top part is always a different shade from the bottom part. And I think that was entirely intentional. And it is always the actual Cybertruck silhouette. It's always that look. So if like you look, you're from here to here, like especially in the sun, it's always a different shade. And it's beautiful in my opinion. It's a very cool design choice.
And so there is actually too, there's some curve here, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Like very subtle. Wow. Yeah, because it just looks like, in a photo, a very rigid shape.
Yep.
Here's a triangle. There's a tiny bit of a bend there that you can see in person.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, look. Off-road fun.
What? But no scrapes on this, huh?
Nope, nothing. Literally, so we went through brush and absolutely nothing. The thing is
Do you
cleaning
like me
this.
smearing my fingers all over?
Dude, there you go. Now they're never going away.
Now you can like create a crime scene.
Oh yeah,
Pull this.
I'm the one
It
that
was-
did this.
It was Jason from Engineering Explained.
We're gonna tape that
Fingerprint
over.
right
it's never
there.
going
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
And it's-
gotta
yeah.
delete my evidence.
Cleaning it is a pain in the butt. But when you do, like, it just looks so good.
It is cool. It is cool. It's smoother. I imagine that's part of the challenge is like if there's any surface roughness to this, right? That's very difficult to clean, and it is actually very smooth.
You know what's interesting though? If you look at the hood, there are actual specks of what look like some deposits. So, see, like, if you look here,
Yeah.
that's in the middle.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are like, they've talked about, okay, we've changed the steel so that it's very rust resistant, but like, yeah, rust is kind of reality.
Yep.
And so it'll be really interesting to see how long this lasts, especially in like harsh environments.
Bed is also pretty great. The tonneau cover is awesome.
It is cool. And I guess there aren't that many of them yet, but like Rivian had a lot of issues with it. Very different mechanism. I guess they're using like smaller slats, and it's not like a stacking system. I guess there's maybe a roll or...
I mean, the bed is very reasonable.
This is large.
I mean, I use it. Here's my big complaint about it, though. That. It's...
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think a very, like, logical reason why trucks don't have this...
It's so they can,
like, you
get stuff from the
go
bed.
Like this.
But now I have
If
to,
I
like,
stand on the
do an
ground-
extra motion.
Like, and I'm fairly tall, have
Yeah.
long arms.
Nothing. That's my big thing about it.
Yeah.
But I think, like, overall, pros and cons. This I use on an everyday basis. This is where, like, I keep my tools and stuff. This is great.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Okay, this gives me like slight. It's just like Rivian gave the space for a gear tunnel,
Yep.
for a spare tire,
Yep.
has a larger battery,
Yep.
and is a smaller truck.
Yep.
And it's like, why can't they have a spare tire? The Ford Maverick, there was one parked over here.
Probably has a
seconds
spare
ago.
tire.
It does. It does have a full-size spare.
I
This
kind of
thing
agree with you. I
is
mean,
pretty big. It's off-road. It's a truck. It's like, all right, give me a spare.
on the off-road video, I had a bunch of people that were like, "Dude, you need to take a spare with you. Don't go out without a
You
spare."
honestly,
you're right.
You honestly should. Like, you get stranded pretty easily.
Especially in a truck that can't make it up a. Anyways.
Whoa.
Soon, please fix it.
That's the thing. Like, a tire designed to do everything will not be good at everything.
Exactly, 100%. And I don't know if these tires are gonna be. Here's the thing: when we drive, you'll notice the road noise is excellent.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things like you have to do. You want low rolling resistance. You want low road noise because it's a very quiet car.
Yeah.
So like compromises have to be made, decisions have to be made, and yeah, it means okay, maybe it's not amazing in snow or off road.
Yep. Well, yeah, we've seen a lot of.
And they're using
Snow.
a fairly shallow tread depth as well.
First time inside the Cybertruck, we had a very lovely conversation for about 20 minutes.
You're a patient man, Ben. Good for you.
I do this every single day.
I am sure. It's actually like one of my fears today when I'm filming this thing is that I'm just like not going to be able to get anything done static because if I'm not moving, there's going to be people being like...
That is the trick. You just have to keep moving. So sometimes when I'm in the parking lot, I'm just like, I can't do this today. I just walk in. I'm like, yeah, it's my truck, man. Have a good one. I just say, take some pictures. All good. It's in a public place.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
No, you had a great spirit about it. I feel like I'm jaded and like I have had I had a BMW i8 and that thing when it first came out like got eyeballs. And I had two people come over and they're like, "Hey, do you want to smoke weed with us?" And it was like I was like, I'm reviewing a press car.
I can't do that.
Does this make any sense to you?
Yeah.
But I think it did make sense to them in their state of minds.
First time driving in the Cybertruck. I'm curious to see what you think about it. You know what I did notice? The whole car shakes, by the way, when you do that.
Giant tires. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, I think I am probably one of the worst people to comment on interiors because everyone always says like, oh, Tesla interiors are super cheap and that's why I bought a Mercedes or BMW or a Porsche. And then I go sit in a Mercedes or BMW and a Porsche and I'm like, I don't know, I don't really see anything about this interior that makes me like super excited, right?
Yeah.
Like I am easy to please when it comes to interiors and I like simplicity. And so I genuinely do really like Tesla interiors because they're very simple. Now there are certain things I wish I had buttons for, sure, but that's not like a complaint of the quality of the interior. So this to me actually seems really nice.
I really like the interior of this car. I think that was the thing I was the most excited about whenever I was looking into this. Like whenever we didn't know much about Cybertruck, I was like, I just want to see the interior because that's a big deal to me because I like how this is. I think it's very angular, it's very futuristic, and the thing they do very well on this car is they except for, you know, maybe the bed, where we were talking about like the lack of like space for a tire, the interior space they do very well. Like this is kind of like from original model S and X. which is great. And then the center console is huge. It's good, and there's a full 120 outlet in there with one USB-C.
That's awesome.
And
I've heard also USB-C is 65 watts, which is like very good.
It charges so insanely fast.
Steam Deck.
Yes, charges Steam Deck. Now you'll see it doesn't have Steam, which is so annoying. Like S and X have it.
Okay.
This is more expensive than some of the S's and X's.
So it probably will eventually, or no?
God, I hope so, because if I can't play Cyberpunk on my Cybertruck, I'm going to freak out, because that's ridiculous.
The screen is really nice.
It's
huge. Is definitely larger, yeah?
It is. When I got in my Model 3, after a while, I was like, what the heck? This is tiny.
And like Model 3, like when it came out, I mean, that's a massive screen.
Yep. It pioneered the new screen factor.
Like wide angle TV in your car.
I personally love it. I think it's great. I think especially for YouTube. We were watching a little bit of YouTube while we were sitting, and it was great.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's great, especially too, like sitting at a charger, like you've got plenty to do. My only complaint is like, I wish there was a mild amount of customization that you could have with it, where you don't have to have this like gimmicky 3D replica of everything around you. It's like,
so you'd rather just not have it?
I have eyes. I can look around me. I want just to full screen the map.
Okay.
And it's like, why can't I full screen the map in a Model 3?
That is interesting, huh? Because you have a good point there. For me, I personally don't mind it, but at the same time, now that you say it, I don't really use it.
Yeah, it doesn't really serve a purpose.
This. We're pointing at the
you'll use
the
cameras to look if there's cars.
That's
You're not going to look at the animation and be like, oh, is there an animated car beside me?
It used to be that way, though.
Yes,
before we had the actual repeater cameras on turn signals, I used to use it as my blind spot. Or as my blind spot indicator.
It doesn't always know a car is a car, right? So like, I didn't trust an animation. Like a camera, you can see what you're looking at.
Yep.
An animation is like for example, probably shouldn't say this, but my wife was standing next to the car and it showed a bus, and it was like,
oh my god,
she's actually not that large of a human. But anyways, it said, oh, there's a bus right beside it, and it's like, okay, well, like clearly, if it thinks that's a bus, then like you should check with your eyes.
100%. And especially right now, as Cybertruck is, there are no vision sensors that are active, so if I get too close to something, it doesn't beep at me. It doesn't even give me anything, which is
that's frustrating. Ultrasonic sensors on the Model 3 are like such an impressive piece of technology.
So good, and they decided, nope.
Yeah. That's a real shame, because when I first got it, it was like one of the coolest things of like, wait a minute, I'm 19 inches from the wall, and then you go measure it and you're like, yeah, I'm 19 inches from the wall. It's like, that's a very useful thing.
It is.
Especially too, like say it's raining, your camera gets covered in water, you can't really see, but you're backing up. It's like, oh, it tells me exactly how far away I am.
100%. Now that still works, where it tells me when the light's green, which is great. And it does have adaptive cruise control.
Okay.
But no autopilot.
Oh, really? No autopilot?
Absolutely nothing, which is, I know, software update, and that's kind of been a theme with Cybertruck, is coming in a software update. And you know what? Maybe that's just, look, that's how early Tesla is. You're beta testing the cars, let's be honest. But
in this case, yes, I think so, 100%. Like, it's unfortunate that that's becoming more normal, where things are half-baked and released. Like, when I got in the ID4, I had a lot of complaints, and they were like, oh, don't worry, it's coming 6 months. And then like 3 years later, the things that I complained about like still exist. And it's like, it didn't come in a software update. So
really,
it is frustrating. And I also saw, I guess this got kind of popular. They are actually lockable differentials.
Yes. They're in the car,
but you can't
enable them.
You can't lock them. And that's so silly, because like,
how long have we had locking differentials?
Yeah, exactly. And if it is just literally lock or unlock, then it is not a complicated thing. It's a switch, right?
But do you think that they're locking them in the actual drive units themselves?
I don't know. I don't know what the diff looks like. I don't know. But if it is truly just locking left and right, then like, this isn't a hard process. Like, there are hundreds of examples of lockable diffs. Like, it's crazy.
The Rivian does it? Oh, I guess it doesn't need it because it has 4.
Well, the one was 4 motor. Yeah, they otherwise just.
But does it work in the dual yet?
I would assume in the dual they're using open diffs. I'm actually really surprised that Tesla put lockable diffs in an electric car, because it really complicates the drivetrain, and there are lame solutions where you use the brakes to do it. Not perfect. Lockable is definitely better for off-road, so 100%. Cool that they did it. Weird that you can't use it yet.
And you saw the video where we got stuck on that.
Yeah, and what's interesting is, well, what I thought was, I didn't realize when I was watching that this does have lockable discs. Is it front and rear?
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't realize that, and so because of that, it's like, now it makes more sense to me why the software was kind of bad, because why would they develop software for this interim mode where, okay, we need to make sure, but honestly, you know, now that I'm saying that, you should still have brake-based torque vectoring in the event one is slipping, even if you have it in open. It's just a smart thing to do. So it really should have better sensing of like, okay, this wheel is spinning, I need to apply the brakes, get more torque to the other side, and off we go.
Yeah, and I think, like I said in the off-roading video, the positive and the negative thing about this is that it's all just software.
Yes.
That's a double-edged sword, though, because really, why did it ship without the software in the first place? But at the same time, as you know with your Model 3, your car has gotten smarter.
Oh, it's gotten so much better from when I got it. Like, they didn't even have one-pedal driving when I bought that thing, and now I think they're getting rid of the other options.
Correct. This you actually can't even disable it.
Okay.
It's always one pedal.
Yeah.
Unless you're in off-road mode, then you can actually adjust it, depending on Baja and Overland. But
interesting.
I personally, I love one pedal driving.
Same.
It's
it was like one of my biggest complaints, aside from wipers, with the Model 3 when I got it, because it was like, man, I drove a Leaf prior to that, and the Leaf had one pedal driving, and I'm like, this is fantastic. Why doesn't Tesla have it? Boom, they got it. It got faster. It got Sentry mode. It got dash cam. Like, it got a lot of added features while I've had it.
I think that's Tesla's strength, though.
Yes.
It's their software.
Yeah. And I think a lot of companies say they're going to do something as far as software, and like you see very little improvement.
I hate to say it, but the Mustang Mach-E, it's like, I don't know if I trust OTA from Ford, you know?
Yeah.
They've been around for 100 years doing not that. So.
Yeah, I think they have competent engineers. I just think that they put less of a focus on it. Most companies put far less energy on this system right here, and you can tell that by getting into literally any other car.
100%. So switching gears real quick. No, we can't do that. But this cabin is much louder, but not in the way that you think. Like, you can hear the drive unit in this thing all the time. Like, but I like it.
Yeah.
I think it sounds cool, and I think the Rivian sounds kind of similar in that aspect. But sometimes I'm like, so I recently drove the new Model 3. First of all, it's insane. It's really good.
Okay, and I love stocks, and I'm like one of those old people that's like still reading newspapers and writing with pen and paper. I love stocks, and I'm like, I wouldn't even think about it. I would immediately upgrade if it had stocks. I would not even think about it. And I think I would be sad to lose ultrasonic sensors, but like,
the stocks are the big deal, huh?
the stocks, like, other people drive my cars, and people hate change that is like annoying, and that is like annoying change. It's like, for the sake of saving a little bit of money, and maybe one day these cars are driving themselves and you don't need to worry about this. But it's like, okay, we're not there yet. We're clearly not there yet. It's been a long time where we haven't been there yet. So why are we removing features that are still very useful to people driving when people are doing most of the driving?
And the worst part is they're haptic buttons. I hate that.
On the steering wheel?
Yes.
Yeah.
But on this one, it's a physical button. And when I drove it, I was consistently, it doesn't feel right. It just.
And so Model 3, they're haptic. They're not actual
correct.
buttons.
This one is an actual button.
Okay, and how do you do flashers? Like, if you want to flash someone.
It's complicated, right? Like, I hate this.
Yeah, because it's like
a button.
It's like
press
you just
the button.
pull the little stock and you're like, flash, like, hey.
It takes some muscle memory. As someone who's been driving this for about 3,000 miles, I don't mind it anymore.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm like, windshield wipers or this and this. Sometimes I'm like, really? But
I don't think. The thing is, like, enthusiasts are happy to alter their driving habits to meet, whatever they're driving, right? I'm happy to get along with all this stuff. Like, most people are very resistant to that, and they're like, but why would you do something different that doesn't really make logical sense aside from saving money? So it's like, I'd be fine with it. My wife would be like, this is the dumbest thing ever. Why'd you sell our Model 3? That car was perfect.
Right. That's a fair point, too. I don't know if I like this, because when I was driving, I mean, I've driven, you know, Plaid Model S and X and all that fun stuff. And when you're doing a turn, you got to go like that. And you got to put your turn signal on. It's moronic.
Oh,
same thing with the Model. Same thing with the Model 3. But this one, that's it. So
right. No, and
you don't need it.
It's interesting too about like, oh, we went steer by wire, but also got rid of the yoke. It's like, okay, so there's the cars that still do have a yoke, but don't have steer by wire.
The thing is, I prefer this more than the yoke.
Yeah, no, for sure.
The yoke feels thicker, and I'm not like a fan of holding it, but this one, like, I hold like that all the time. I hold like this. I go like this.
This is absolutely better than the yoke.
This is great, actually. Yeah. I like this, and that's a question a lot of people
ask. Do you think they'll offer a regular round wheel like they did eventually with the...
And you think that... I don't know if they're going to cave in. Huh? Because this one, like, this is their compromise. We're like, we're not doing yokes. We're just going to put something on the top. And it's not a yoke, it's a squircle.
And they don't want any roundness in this vehicle, so it has to be a squircle.
Which is hilarious. And I don't know, I think the design choices were excellent in this car. I really do. But
yeah,
I don't think they're going to do a steering wheel. I actually like this.
Not,
and I don't even want one. I think this is fine.
You're fine with it? Great.
It's better than the initial one. You remember, like, the initial, like, it was just like, it looked plasticky. It was like an actual yoke in the original concept. I don't remember. I hated that. I mean, bad.
Because it's steer by wire, you don't need to do hand over hand, so like this is totally fine.
I mean, here, we're gonna do this turn here. Turning in this car is effortless. It is fantastic. That is, I think, I'm sure you'll experience in your video, my favorite part of this entire car.
Yeah, it's a huge benefit of rear wheel steering. Rear wheel steering is kind of magical for large vehicles.
It's fantastic. That was our initial drive. What were your thoughts there?
Oh, on initial drive? Yeah, I like it. I like it. It feels very Tesla, despite being larger and more obnoxious. I love the Model 3 in that it is like understated performance. This is very clearly like in your face, which is like cool in its own way because it's different from everything, and I respect that. Yeah, I'm excited to try it out, drive it. Overall, I think the interior is really good. It feels like a Tesla. The tires are loud, but yeah, they're 35s.
They're definitely loud. They're definitely louder than any other Tesla, but it's quieter than I thought it was.
No, it's not bad in here at all. And I've heard the sound system's incredible, so I'm excited.
We'll bump that. It's crazy, but we'll be back once he has driven it for the day. Okay, you're back.
I'm back.
Looks fine.
Overall, enjoyed it, had a good time. And I was thinking, I give my overall impressions in my video, so I thought what I didn't talk about in my video was how I feel about it versus the competition. So I was thinking about it as I was driving back, and I was thinking, for many of them, I'd take it over the Hummer, I'd take it over the F-150 Lightning, I would take the Rivian over this. Now, if I could take the software from this and the charging infrastructure and throw it in a Rivian, I'd say, like, hands down, that's the winner. I think those are the two big advantages. One of those, like, Rivian's luckily going to get, which is access to the chargers. The second one, like, they have CarPlay. And so I kind of put CarPlay and Tesla in an equal category, and that both are very user-friendly, simple, just work, don't think too hard, great.
Yeah.
So the things that I like about this.
Sure.
Does Rivian have a 240 in the bed?
Nope.
Okay, that's super cool. The bed overall usability, I'd say, is probably greater, even though it does have this kind of corner in the way, just because the bed's larger. It's a huge bed.
It's massive.
Yeah, so that's really nice. I really like gear tunnel on the Rivian.
Yeah.
And the Rivian has a spare tire. Super sick. So those are points that go that way. Driving perspective, on-road I like this more. I didn't drive it off-road. I can say confidently,
I think the Rivian's going to do better.
Without driving this off-road, I would like the Rivian more off-road. Your special thing about the Rivian is when you go off-road and you put it in off-road and you feel a suspension that you've never felt before. With this, I think the super special thing is the steering. You haven't experienced steering like this before, so that is like the very different thing. And like the exterior is like hard, right? And it's like
it's tough.
It's tough. And the more I started thinking about it, like for me personally, I don't know, like if you nick something, you're still gonna get a scrape, right? Like,
I think it's much more difficult. So, I mean, Tesla like ran a shopping cart into it and not even a mark.
Okay.
But, I mean, it's still, I don't know.
I think it's cool. It to me doesn't have as high of a value. So it's interesting. It's really interesting to think about. Like, I for some reason don't place high value on like how
tough it is.
incredible this exterior
100%.
is.
I
It's
feel
just like a personal thing, I think.
Oh no, I can absolutely understand. I think for me, so my favorite car in the world is my favorite car in the world is a DeLorean.
It's not a Crosstrek?
No, jeez, don't even talk to me about Crosstrek. No,
What?
the Crosstrek is a great vehicle. I'm just saying, it's a
The
freaking amazing
greatest
vehicle.
vehicle.
Apparently, it's better than a Cybertruck at getting up inclines, but
It would get dented like literally just doing this.
oh, 100%. That's the thing. And I mean, for me, a DeLorean is my most favorite vehicle in the world, and this is like a weird.
It is.
It's
It
like a
is.
weird cousin to that.
It is.
Is it nice that I don't have to worry about like
Yeah,
somebody?
you don't have to worry about like
door dings?
Russian trees, door dings.
I don't think door dings are going to do anything anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
That to
Someone's
me-
gonna ruin their car rather than your car.
Because like in my Model 3, I was like, every time I get a door ding, I just feel dead on the inside, and there's
Yeah.
nothing you can do about it. But with this thing, I don't feel as bad parking it in places. Now, are people going to come up to it and just try and key it? Apparently, it's happened, and that's just
Also,
terrible.
I also got coal rolled once. So
You
once,
did?
once with you and once again driving this. So I don't know if it's won over the Ram buyer yet.
No, I don't think it has.
The diesel guys are still unconvinced by the Cybertruck.
It's just so like okay.
I
all
know,
right.
I know. This guy was probably doing like 110 on the highway.
Do you have it? Do you have any footage of it?
I didn't. I should have hit the record.
Ah.
I should have hit the record button. I didn't. But this guy just came flying through.
Going back to Rivian, I honestly love Rivians. I have made it very clear that Rivians are so sick. I love
Yeah.
everything about them.
Yeah,
and
I
it's
think-
this versus the Rivian, I think.
I think so as well. I think there's a lot of discussion about like internally the design and what I would imagine without seeing inside of either is that it probably is better packaging inside of this than inside of the Rivian, despite somehow Rivian having seemingly like better packaging. Like they have
Gear tunnel.
gear tunnel, spare wheel, like a larger battery, all in a smaller truck, which is like, okay, so maybe it's not as bad as I thought. But Tesla's very, very good at packaging. And so, yeah, a part of me was like, dang it, why isn't there a spare? No, this is giant. I mean,
Yeah, this is.
getting one of those is pretty absurd.
It is, and I think you're absolutely right. I think that the packaging, the actual like creature comfort packaging of a Rivian is incredible. I think
Yeah.
like the usage of space with gear tunnel, with the bed, it's fantastic. Even the front is huge in Rivian.
Yeah, and I mean, this one isn't all that big.
No,
In
it's like a
fact,
bench.
When you're sitting in here, you're like, yo, this is so far away from me. And I kept thinking, I was like, I have no idea how you clean inside of here. Like, you do have to buy a Swiffer.
I'm gonna buy a
something
Swiffer,
to-
yeah.
to-
Maybe we'll make something.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe we'll like 3D print something.
yeah.
But yeah, that's an interesting perspective. Because once again, as someone who loves the Rivian, after owning this, I don't think I could own a Rivian. Well, if I could afford both, I would. But I think I love this for the looks.
Yeah, no, I think that's something that this did that I think very few cars have really done was it got the masses to get interested in cars
100%.
who weren't interested in cars.
But
And
that's the
people were
Tesla
like-
thing, right? Like
It is kind of the Tesla effect.
my mom, she doesn't care about cars, but she got her Model 3 back in 2018, and she loves her car, and that's strange for her.
And people are like, whoa, rear wheel steering. And it's like, it's sick to get people excited about something like that. Because it's like, I think rear wheel steering's sick.
Sweet.
But it's also like, they didn't do that. So it's like, Tesla was able to capture an audience based on this look and then bring them in and then show them like cool tech that is available today, but all put into one machine.
I agree. I agree. And, I appreciate your input. I mean, we know your stance on certain
What's my stance?
things.
Just say it.
You know, whenever Tesla.
Some dude lying?
Yep, that. Yep. No, but I mean, we know your stance, and I mean, it's clear you don't hate Teslas.
I've driven one for the past 5 years.
Exactly.
And if there were a car I'd rather have, I'd buy it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. No, I appreciate that, but hopefully you enjoyed Cybertruck.
It was fun. It's weird too. One of the other things that I thought was unique about this, in seeing it for the first time, is like there are certain angles it looks really cool, and there's certain angles it looks really bad.
It's the rear, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
the rear alone is bad, and then I also took a selfie, and I'll post it at some point, and maybe I'll still put it in this video. But a high up angle from the front, it looked mad dorky, and it's like, oh, weird. There are certain ways where, like, you don't see this curve on video. It's very hard to see how like subtle it is, and yet when you're standing here looking at it, it's like pretty obvious.
You know what? Actually, you can kind of.
Can you kind of?
A little bit.
It's hard to tell. So it looks way more straight line in video and in pictures, and I like that. I like the straight line nature to it. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I mean, I appreciate you coming out here and checking the stuff.
No, for real, thank you so much for letting me
100%.
drive in and take it around.
Yeah.
It was really fun. And man, it gets too much attention. I think that is another thing that I like about the Model 3, especially the Model 3 Performance, is like, no one looks at it and thinks literally anything of it. It's got 500 horsepower and it's like insanely fast, and no one like blinks an eye at it. Yeah, there's a bunch of them out now, and there's not many of these. I don't like the tension, and man, people love looking at this thing. I did find a parking spot that was like kind of hidden in the woods, and I was like, okay, no one's gonna bother me here, and thankfully, no one did. You couldn't really see it.
I'm excited. I'm happy you came out, and
yeah, it was fun. It was fun to experience.
I think we'll have to have you back out once PowerShare is installed. We were talking about that, and I think that's going to be really interesting.
That I think is really interesting, and I would love to try it off road at some point.
Let's do it next time. Well, okay. I'm making it very clear. Once we got some diff locks and we got a little bit of updated software, we are going back. We are going back and we're going up that hill. You want to come with?
I would love to.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And you know what? Let's bring a Rivian. I know people with a Rivian. I know an F-150 Lightning.
Cool.
I need a Hummer EV. So if you were a owner with a Hummer EV in the Austin-ish area, come on out.
I think we can do some tweeting and find one.
I think we could do that. But sweet. Well, thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you once again for coming out and giving your thoughts.
I appreciate you giving me the time to try it out.
Yeah.
Throwing me the keys and letting me go off and do my thing. It was fun.
It was
a
a
good
blast,
time.
man. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. If you guys enjoy the content, as always, subscribe. We have really cool stuff coming up. I have more plans, and I think we're going to be going to Colorado pretty soon to go meet some certain people. All right. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.